All right, so joining us now, ESPN NBA Front Office Insider Bobby Marks, kind enough to spend some time with us as we're still in the middle of NBA free agency. The Heat, of course, made a big trade yesterday, acquiring Norman Powell. But first, before we get to all that stuff there, Bobby, today, kind of a big day here in South Florida 15 years ago. 15 years ago today, believe it or not, was the decision LeBron James essentially changes the course of history in the NBA and announces he's taking his talents to South Beach. You were, if I'm, remembering the timeline correctly, you were in the front office for the Brooklyn Nets. What do you remember about that night?
Well, it was still New Jersey, so we still had not moved yet. Listen, we were one of the teams that met with LeBron, met with Wade, met with Bosh. We had a lot of cap space. I think 35 at the time, which nowadays is like 100.
Yep.
And I never thought we had an opportunity to sign either one of those players. I think it was more of an ownership group that was new. I don't think I watched it. I think I was in my car driving and might have just heard as far as what the decision that he was going to do, because we didn't live in a world of we didn't live in that world, social media world and everything like that. I do remember after him deciding, me calling Rob Pelinka, the now GM of the Lakers, who represented Carlos Boozer, to set up a meeting with Boozer regarding, what to do with all this cap space and everything like that. But yeah, it was a wild time, just because I felt like I was a guy in the control tower landing the planes, and we had all this money and we had no planes to land and everything like that. But it was certainly monumental, as you know, as far as getting the three guys. It basically, what happened was, by Chris and LeBron doing the sign-in trades, like that basically in the next CBA eliminated the rule where it benefits a player to do a sign-in trade. That no longer exists. There's no benefit. There's no financial benefit from a player doing that anymore. So we saw some rules actually come about because of what the Heat were able to do.
Do you remember what NBA general managers, what NBA teams thought about the decision? Like, once he did it, was it tacky? Like, were people were NBA teams really upset with the TV show, the way it went down?
I don't think so. I mean, at least for us, speaking for the Nets, it didn't bother us, because I just felt like we weren't waiting for us. Was it going to be Brooklyn, or was it going to be New Jersey? So I don't think so. I think there was an understanding as far as that it could certainly be Miami. I think the Bosh decision kind of was that's the third part of it. So no, not for us. I'm sure some people, listen, Cleveland, we don't talk about Cleveland, but that's a different animal there as far as the reaction with that.
It's interesting now how, back then, and it's been this way up until really probably the last few years ago, where we don't have the meetings anymore. The free agents and, okay, so we're visiting with this team today and this team today. And it was out of control that summer. Everyone was meetings all over the place. Now, we don't even do that anymore. Do teams like that?
Well, because we have a lot of it is we call pre-free agency, which is most of these guys are signing extensions that are never the main guys. They never get into free agency. And then how the rules have changed, where you're the ability to negotiate with your own free agents once the NBA finals are over. You saw that with Kyrie. You saw that with James Harden. The bulk of the free agents, are not even available. I was looking at this number. I think there's been, 2022, there's only been 6 players that have signed with cap space and signed with another team for more than $20 million.
Wow.
Which is pretty remarkable, because players, Jalen Brunson and Fred VanVleet have changed hands, and certainly Paul George last offseason, but it just doesn't happen anymore as far as, the meetings, the July 1 meeting, everybody's flying to Cleveland. We've got 6 teams ready to go. Then we're going to go to Chicago and meet with Bosh and Wade. It just doesn't exist. Similar to Kawhi in 2019. I mean, that was like, we're waiting for Kawhi. He's meeting with the Raptors. He's meeting with the Clips. So like all these different things. And that has been, at least for now, has been removed.
Do you think we'll ever get back to a place where having cap space matters?
Next summer.
Why is that?
I think we're going to see at least a third of the league with teams with cap space, headlined by both LA teams, which will be certainly interesting. Now it's a matter of who those free agents are going to be. Next offseason, we might be sitting at a similar situation where, the free agency won't be as enticing. It's interesting. We never thought, like, we went into this offseason with, Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn controls the offseason. They have the cap space, and all of a sudden Milwaukee uses the stretch provision and waives Damian Lillard. And all of a sudden they're sitting at $26 million. Now it comes with significant consequences in the future and everything. So I do think cap space in a way still matters. I think it's a little bit different than Brooklyn in 2019 when they went out and signed KD and Kyrie about, to $70 million contracts and everything. But I do think we might see a little bit of a trend that might shift the balance next summer when, as I said, we go from one or two teams this offseason to, maybe a third of the league. But but it all depends on, like, some of those teams might come off the board if they extend some of their own players.
Speaking of Damian Lillard, how do you think that conversation goes down with the Bucks? Because I don't think we've ever seen it before. 5 years and stretching out $110 million. Like, does someone are they just spitballing, you think, in a conference room? It's like, hey, what if we waive and stretch? I know it's crazy, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the injury, knowing that he's likely not going to play this year, or if he did, that you take that into consideration. I think it would be crazier if he was healthy and they used the waive and stretch, which I don't think they would have gone out and done. I think there's two ways to look at it. I think, who is the free agent that you want to go sign, who, that you can't get right now? Okay, it's Miles Turner. Do you approach Damian Lillard first and say, hey, would you take a buyout? No, he's not going to take a buyout. Why should he? He's hurt, and he's not going to probably be able to recoup that money. And then that's probably your last resort as far as waiving and stretching him. And that's for him. It's great. Like, he's getting his $113 million, and he can live in Portland, and he can rehab, and then he could pick whatever team or that he wants to maybe sign with after the All-Star break or for next year. But it's really the last, when you're in Milwaukee, it's really the last resort you have. I understand why they did it. Like, I totally get it, but it's a desperate move because you've run out of draft capital. Where your finances are. You don't have many more moves to do other than what they just did.
What do you make of Kevin Pritchard's comments? I think it was yesterday, maybe it was 2 days ago. He made it sound like Miles Turner essentially just up and dipped, that they didn't, like, they wanted to keep him and he didn't give him a chance.
I agree with them. I agree with them. It's I think certainly probably Indiana, I don't want to say get caught off guard, but you're looking at the market and be like, all right, who is the team going to be? And then all of a sudden you have Milwaukee that comes in and makes this offer for 108 or 107. And then you're thinking, okay, well, at least give us the opportunity to match, right? I mean, I know he's not a restricted free agent, but at least give us the opportunity to kind of do that. And from my understanding, that did not happen. That, he was told when he was agreeing with Milwaukee, and that's the situation.
Let's talk about what the Heat did yesterday. Heat fans have been sitting around now for a couple weeks just waiting for their team to make a move, and finally a move came yesterday in the form of Norman Powell. This was a great trade for the Heat, right?
It's a home run, and there's no risk involved at all. Like, first of all, there's no draft picks going out, right? Like, there's not at all. There's Kyle Anderson and Kevin didn't play much this year and was certainly out of the rotation and is towards the tail end of his career. You give up two rotational players for a top starter. I mean, now you got to figure out, whether extending him or lining, even if he left in free agency, and you didn't get anything back. There's just absolutely no risk. And I watch Norm a lot. I don't vote for the All-Star teams. I would have voted for him in the West. I thought he was terrific through the first half of the year. He got hurt in the second half, and his numbers took a little bit of a dip. And and his playoffs were up and down, and there were certainly some good moments there. But I think for what Miami needs, and people are saying, wait a minute, you got Norman, you got Tyler in the backcourt and stuff like that. You've watched enough of these games where you need a guy at the end, guy that can make shots, another guy outside of Tyler that can create his own shots and everything. And I thought it was just a low risk move. I understood why all three teams did it with the Clips, with John Collins, and why Utah was willing to get off that money and where they are with their roster here. But I just thought I like the move. It was a low risk move as far as for what they did.
Do you think this is a precursor to another move for Miami?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, we're going to see probably in the next couple of days Beal become available in free agency. I think the Norm Powell move eliminates that as far as what they need. They're a little bit below, I think 3 and change below the first apron. So they can go out and sign a minimum guy if they want to do that here. But I'm not anticipating another big. They got Simone Fontecchio in the Duncan Robinson sign and trade, and that gave them the flexibility to go out and get Norm because of that savings that you created by that contract here. Davion, of course, comes back on a 2 for $24. So I'm not anticipating a huge move as far as what's next with this roster.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Beal. He has 2 years left, big money. What Phoenix? Okay, let's say they're trying to buy him out. Why would he give back $1?
Well, it's like it goes to like the thinking, like if you work somewhere and they don't want you there anymore and nobody talks to you anymore. It's like
I feel like we were having that conversation all last year when he wouldn't waive no trade clause, though, right?
I know. I do think you get a point in your career where if you're Bradley Beal and he's got $111 million owed, and you're thinking, okay, if I gave back 14. Can I make half of it back this year and half of it back next year? And I think he can. I think he can come pretty close to that. And I think he can be in a really better situation than he was in where he currently is in Phoenix here with the team that he could potentially sign for. For Phoenix, it's different than the Lillard situation where they used it to clear money to sign a player.
Right.
This knocks him out of the first and knocks him out of the second apron, a little bit below luxury tax. It gives them probably more spending power in free agency. They're probably more accessible to make trades and everything like that. But as we've talked about, it comes with a $19-20 million cap hit that of dead money for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a hell of a deterrent. Making a move like that, it's going to cost you $20 million less than every other team gets to spend. It's very, very punitive. Speaking of punitive, Bobby, Draymond Green recently spoke about how he thinks some players are getting screwed. Bad CBA, should never have voted for it. Do you feel like there's a lot of chatter around the league amongst players that what's going on right now is bad?
I mean, listen, I just saw the middle class get taken care of pretty good. Luke Cornett, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dennis Schroeder. Listen, every player. Draymond got a pretty nice contract in Golden State. Mm-hmm. He's probably not going to get a next one. I would disagree with him there. Spending is at an all-time high. The apron levels are going to get better as far as the restrictions there. Is everything perfect? No. But I do think as where we are, I think it's getting better as far as from the system.
Finally here, Bobby, can you make any sense of what's going on with LeBron in LA? What we're hearing from Windhorst, even just this morning, he was on at ESPN Cleveland, and Windhorst makes it sound like it's no picnic in LA right now.
I agree. It's interesting, and listen, it's not my money. $53 million is not my money. That's LeBron's money, and he's earned it, and he's probably earned double of it. But I just come back to saying, if you wanted to pick a team, he could have just become a free agent and gone about doing that here. They made some, minor moves with DeAndre Ayton and Jake LaRavia, and they brought in their Jackson Hayes. I still think they're a good team. Are they a top 6 team in the West? Probably. Are they close to OKC and where Houston is probably right now? Probably not for the long haul. So We'll see how this plays out. I think it's a guy who has a no trade clause and is making $53 million. And we live in this world where it's hard to make trades. I am interested to see where this Lakers team is if they're struggling during the year and with the guy on an expiring contract. Right. This is the first time we've seen him on a true expiring, no player option in year 2. And we'll wait and see how this plays out.
If you're the front office, you can't go to him. He needs to come to you asking for a trade, right?
Yeah, I would not. I think it's business as usual because it's the reality is that you're trying to shape your roster, and you're not going to do a bad trade. And you're going to, like, for example, if Golden State called and said, "Hey, we'll do Jimmy Butler for LeBron," you're like, "Well, we're not doing that. Like, why would we do that? Well, I don't want another year of Jimmy Butler left on his contract. Like, that's not where you could basically have like kind of a blank canvas next year."
Bobby, excellent job. Thanks a lot for giving us some time here this afternoon. We appreciate it.
You got it. Good talking with you.
Thanks.